Hello and welcome everybody to Game 2 of Grubby vs. AureS. My name is Glitch, and this is going to be a PvT on Naga Caverns. I have now done a little bit of research, and I discovered that this best of three, well, I discovered that it's a best of three. It's a best of three, and it was from the LDLC Summer Trophy Paris Invitational. So, again, this is going to be a best of three, and this is Game 2. Grubby won Game 1 by just doing a lot of very nice unit placement, a lot of very nice small gains from just taking very small risks with units like just one Dark Templar, sending it to the back of the mineral line, having a High Templar up ahead of his army to try to just get off some early Psy Storms, and just lots of other very small details, lots of abuse of map control to just try to get small gains here and there until he knew that he was confident enough ahead, and then he just planted his massive death ball of an army right outside the base of his opponent and just confined him to 3 bases. So it's just very nice, very solid play by Grubby. So going into Game 2, we're going to see if AureS can get some revenge here on Grubby. I like this supply depot placement here by AureS. This is, I don't know that this is done often enough by Terran players. But commonly, against Zerg, you always want to put kind of a wall off here just to prevent any kind of Zergling run-bys or anything like that in the early game. But against Protoss, since Protoss has not quite the rush capacity that Zerg has, and they do tend to have units that are a little slower to come across the map. You can scout them and you can know before they get here. You can throw up some bunkers and things. You don't really need a wall off quite as much against Protoss. So, by placing this supply depot here, this is giving him extra vision in his map. This is going to prevent any kind of proxy pylons in his base, but it'll also later prevent drops and things as it gives him vision here. Also, some Protoss players will abuse this area here for some blink stalker play. It's common for Protoss players to come up here, blink right up here, come up into the main, deal some damage to the worker line, then just pull right back out and blink back down the ramp again. So this supply depot gives you a lot of very critical sight, so I really do like this placement of a supply depot. It's very common for, you see, the Terran players to place their first supply depots here, which doesn't really help. It helps a little bit in if you get rushed and something tries to run through into your mineral line, you can put up a couple supply depots here, and it makes it difficult for units to get into your worker line. But I find that very early on against a Protoss player, this is much more advantageous. So both players have now scouted. Grubby going for a very standard build so far of gate gas, core gas, and is now pumping out a stalker as well as a sentry. In Game 1 we saw a very economic style of play from Grubby, where Grubby really, he didn't go for too many units. I believe he went for only 1 gate before getting a Nexus, and then threw down some more gateways. So we will see if this game he is planning to do a similar build. No, he's actually throwing down 2 more gateways, so we now have a 3 gate coming up. And he's being very active with this stalker. I like this move by Grubby. Stalkers are very fast units, so it's nice to kind of use them in the early game to kind of, if you're not doing a little bit of pressuring at the front of their base, just scouting around. He's scouting this backdoor entrance, he's scouting his natural to make sure there's no kind of proxies going on, and just checking around the base. AureS is moving out here with a small force of units. He's moving out with 1 Marine and 2 Marauders. And he's throwing up some more barracks as well as another command center in his base. The stalker has now been scouted, and the stalker is trying to abuse the fact that he is faster to try to poke in, get a little bit of damage done, and then just pull back out again. It's a little bit of nice micro there by Grubby. AureS is still choosing to move in though, and at the front he only has 2 sentries right now. He will be able to force field his ramp to prevent them from coming in, to delay them for a little while he produces some more units, and yes indeed he's producing a couple more stalkers as well as another sentry for more force fields. The 3 barracks now are just about to be up for AureS, and he's now throwing down a reactor. Stim is on the way, and a command center has gone down. Grubby just still being really active with this 1 stalker. Again, this is a very low risk thing. It's Sometimes players will get into the habit of just lumping all their units into one control group and just start sending an entire control group around the map to do the scouting. But by just sending the one stalker, he is gaining a lot of scouting information, and he's only risking losing one stalker. He's still got the bulk of his army back at his base, defending his base. One SCV does go down there from that stalker for Grubby, or I guess it was AureS' SCV, but Grubby gets the kill. AureS is now moving into the ramp. Very nice force field on the ramp there, preventing that Marauder from entering the base. And getting a free Marauder kill there for Grubby. So again, that's a very small gain for Grubby, but again, every small gain helps, and Grubby knows that. He got that one SCV kill here, he got this one Marauder kill there, and each of those gained him just very small gains. SCV popping out the ramp, AureS just checking to see if Grubby is still out here, and this is a very nice play by Grubby. Grubby is not fully committing to this attack. He doesn't want to risk losing too many units. He knows that there are, well, I think he knows anyway. Let's check and see if he knows. Yes, he does know that there is a bunker there, so he doesn't want to commit to losing too many units yet. He wants to play safe, so he is going to plant his army right out here. He's got a sentry at the front, so if anything starts to move down the ramp, he can just force field it right away and then just evacuate with his units. He can just run back to his base while force fielding the ramp. There he goes, another force field on the ramp. This is to prevent AureS' units from moving down the field, because Grubby does not have any reinforcements here. So AureS is constantly producing more units, so he's going to be getting a bigger and bigger army, and by constantly force fielding this ramp, Grubby is preventing AureS from ever moving out of his base. So in the meantime, he has now expanded, and he is now saturating his natural. So this is a very, very nice play here by Grubby. All he is risking losing here right now is just one sentry, and as long as this one sentry is here force fielding this ramp, AureS cannot move out. He can move out with his command center, or his orbital command rather, but he cannot move out with his army, so he can't risk planting his orbital command down until that force field is gone and he can get his army out of the field. Very nice catch there by AureS. AureS did get a scan and scanned that observer that came into his base. And the command center is now coming in to land at the natural, but Grubby has been mining on this for a little while now, so Grubby is going to be a little bit ahead in the econ game. The first Colossus is now on the field for Grubby, and somewhere, yes, there we have the robotics bay, which is researching that extended thermal lance, which is the attack range upgrade for the Colossus, which allows the Colossus to deal damage from far away, and a massive amount of damage it does deal too. One drop coming in here for AureS. He has loaded up a medevac with 3 Marauders and 2 Marines, and he's now starting to saturate his natural. I'm not sure about this army placement. I don't know if I like this army placement here by Grubby. It does prevent any kind of drops or any kind of swings around the back, but that's about all it does. It leaves his main wide open, and right now this drop is coming in. If his army is positioned all the way over here, he's going to have a hell of a time trying to get back here to catch this drop. He does have this one nice placed pylon here in his base for the same reason that AureS had that supply depot. Grubby now instantly sees that this drop is coming by having this pylon here, and he is reacting appropriately and moving all his forces into the main, or actually he's only moving a few of his forces into the main. 2 pylons go down. Nice little pickoffs there by AureS, and AureS just picks up and has not lost a thing, so very nice. Didn't get too much, but he didn't want to get greedy. That's a play that I like to see by AureS. Too often, Terran players will send their drops to die. Terran players will just send their drops out there and be like, well, this is a group of units that I'm not expecting to get back. I'm just going to send it out there. I'm going to kill off whatever I can, and that drop will just die. But no, AureS goes in. He knows he has done some guaranteed damage. He has destroyed 2 pylons. That is 200 resources that Grubby is never ever going to have back again. And then AureS just picks up his units once he sees these units come in, and he just flies away. But he does leave it here for another drop in case Grubby decides to move this army away. Then AureS can always just come in and do a little bit more damage. So I like that play. On the other side of things, I do like the fact that Grubby isn't committing too much to defending this drop. He did not send his entire army to the front to defend this drop, because it was possible that AureS could have done a drop back here, as his army moved in at the front and taken out his nexus. And Grubby knew that, so he left some of his forces here to defend any kinds of pushes to the front, while he sent just a few units